Director of Policy and Advocacy with the Toronto Youth Cabinet in affiliation with the Social Development Finance Administration floor. This year we're investigating my central question, which is in the absence of political will, how does the community mobilize towards action? The E3 Community Solution Lab is a 5-week series of workshops, one workshop on Saturdays in neighborhood improvement communities. The one that we chose is Rexdale due to their influx of incoming development, so Finch LRT and the expansion of gaming at the Woodbine Casino. So, what are the 3 E's of solution design? Education, experimentation, and engagement. During the education portion, we'll be doing capacity building and knowledge management. During the experimentation phase, we'll be doing planning and collaboration. And during the engagement stage, we'll be helping communities understand the difference between action and implementation. So session 1 will be on open data. We'll be knowing your landscape. We'll be teaching communities how to use the City of Toronto Open Data Portal, how to use the Wellbeing TO Index, how to use the Toronto Meeting Minutes Information System, and also how to basically understand geographic information systems, so just your basic Google Map API. During this session, we'll be teaching participants what defines open data, who benefits from its use, how you can find open data, how is it used by governments, businesses, and residents, and what communities produce and use open data. During this time, we'll be contacting Devin 2, who created Map Your Property, I believe it is, and what it shows is the land use plan of communities. That way we can help communities understand from a digital standpoint how their data is used and then presented visually through staff reports, maps, etc., etc. Session 2 will be taking what we learned from open data and working towards building a better relationship between residents and government for the open government movement. We want to help communities understand how to monitor policies through the Toronto Meeting Information System. We want to educate citizens on reference words that we use, specific language, etc. We'll be co-designing policies, arranging partnerships with organizations and private business, and we are working towards breaking down silos through open data. So when a community is given an education about what it is that is going on around them, specifically in civic life, we believe that it will allow them to mobilize in a more informed engagement atmosphere. So in session 2, we're looking at design thinking for engaged cities, how to move from inspiration, ideation to implementation. So just everyone's familiar with design thinking? Yes? No? Hands? Okay, awesome. So we want to teach communities how to do design thinking so that they get the reality of what it takes to implement an idea. There's a crisis of distrust currently between governments and citizens because there's a lack of communication on how long a process takes to actually take an idea into an action. So we'll be teaching them the steps of design thinking so that they understand the methodology. So in this, we're teaching them how to move from discovery to prototyping to generating. There's a lot of great ideas in communities, but they often fail because they don't realize how long it takes to actually bring something to life. We want to show them the process and introduce them to the idea of prototyping. Prototyping, in my belief, is what helps you decide between a good and bad idea. How to find out if you need to tweak something, if you need a different audience, etc., etc. One of the main points about design thinking that we're trying to stress is that empathy is the centerpiece of human-centered design process. So in order for you to solve a problem, you need to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Okay. The next activity that we'll be doing is retaking the streets. In order to do that, we want communities to start thinking about what makes a place great. So in this wheel, we have volunteerism, traffic data, different things that you need to know about your city in order to make it a great place. To further enforce this activity, we're doing a community asset map / placemaking activity. Currently in the works to talk to Starbucks and a few other drink places to set up drink stations as communities do this. During this community asset map activity, they'll be focusing on the themes of live, work, and play. So what in your community is conducive to the theme of work, what is conducive to play, etc. The urban attributes that we chose were based on the Youthful Cities Urban Attributes Map. And when they do their community asset mapping, we'll be doing an Instagram campaign so that with the hashtag we can track the photos and images seen by residents through their perspective. Also, we'll be using the photos to highlight underused and unused spaces throughout communities so that we can help them create a plan for what to do with them. So this is the urban attributes wheel that we'll be using. It has the 3 themes. These are all indicators on attributes on the outside, and these are the indicators that we'll be telling them to look for. So if someone gets the theme of play, in your neighborhood, where are venues? Are there places to host outdoor festivals? What size are they? What type of audience do you have in your community? Is it a hip-hop community? Is it world music? Are there places for you to perform? And we'll be giving them a copy of this so that they know what they're doing when they're out there. So session 4 is called Ideas, Actions, and Voices, and this is when we do community improvement and community benefit planning. Community benefit planning is the long term. So that's your Finch LRT project. How many jobs can we get out of this? How will Metrolinx divert traffic for pedestrians? The community improvement plan is short to medium term projects that are community led with agency support. So that can be beautification, community gardens, just small things. And during this time, after the asset map, we'll be dividing the groups into the existing policy standing groups that are at the city. So if you were in play, you're going to be in parks and environment or community development and recreation. If you were interested in work, you're in economic development and licensing and standards. Those 2 ultimately determine how grants are, how funding is given and what goes where, because you have to get your permit, and there's funding available from economic development. If you're interested in LIVE, you're looking at planning, growth management, and public works and infrastructure. So that's your city planning, water, Toronto Hydro Group, just infrastructure in general. And through these groups, we'll be helping communities actually move through their ideas. So one of the biggest problems I find with community consultations is the fact that we take a bunch of great ideas without telling people if they're actionable. There's a lot of restriction on the municipal level. We get our mandate from the province. If the province says we can't do that, then who explains that to the resident? And this is why we're having the policy standing groups. I'm getting a member from each one of these groups to be there so that when residents have questions, they can answer them honestly. That is the main point of this session 4, because people don't really, when it comes to civic engagement, people are tired of hearing the same thing. They rather have honesty than for you to use euphemisms and lie to them. So this will be the breath of fresh air. Having someone from economic development tell you, well, in this area, it's strictly industrial space. You can bring a manufacturer in here, they can have quiet equipment, just to gain a reality on our ideas. The last session, it's kind of in the air, but we're hoping to do a tools of advocacy / think fair. Right now I'm in contact with corporate sponsors to try to find rewards for members that go through the training and actually want help in doing a community project. And we're doing a presentation on the province and the feds, so communities are starting to understand like how our city divisions filter into the provincial ministries, and also learning the difference between lobbying and facilitating. You can facilitate a group of people towards an idea. Lobbying is already having an idea in hand and making a campaign towards it. And we really think that this is important for communities to understand so that when they mobilize, they're mobilizing effectively, not efficiently. Because effective means you get the desired result. Efficiency, you sacrifice the desired result for like cost efficiency. We're tired of that. We want the desired result, not a halfway attempt. So in the workshop, we'll be teaching how to facilitate, how to stay connected through social media and civic technology, and also how to start a case study and develop it all the way through. My hope for this is to eventually have an app that's a digital platform for asset management so that communities can manage their inventory of real estate along with their social capital assets and their physical ones. So whether that's like they have a group of youth that can draw murals or like that are looking for work and a startup comes in the area, that type of social capital. And ideas and suggestions, I'm always looking. So from last meeting, I got suggestions for resources such as toolkits and reference guides, a social media cheat sheet, infographics and memes, module templates, relevant case studies, and a platform for sharing best practices. I'm open to knowing after this presentation if you have any suggestions. So yeah, bum bum bum.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that is it. I think I forgot to say in session 1 we will be doing a policy 101 so that people understand the different roles of the city, how it's broken up. Even though there's policy standing groups, there are different clusters in the city. In every cluster, there's at least 10 different offices, one city manager for each. And we want to just help people to understand that even though there's city council, the will of council solely depends on the research of bureaucrats. And to get better research, we need community involvement as well as bureaucratic method. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Cool.
Just a quick question. I don't know if I missed this. Who are